Hey, what's going on? JR Bell here, and just going live on YouTube here for a quick little discussion about business in this current juncture, particularly in the retail industry. Wanted to go into how, a good number of these companies have not been able to, make a adjustment to the current status of consumers or even before this current status of consumers, they hadn't necessarily adjusted to accommodate those consumers. Okay, um, that you know as time has went on, more and more people have kind of um, you know tried to do a lot of things within a 24-hour time period, and within that, they haven't been able to like kind of stop and take the time to go out and shop. You talk about the days of the 80s and the 90s, where shopping malls kind of um, skyrocketed around the country. And you had the shopping malls, you have strip malls, so to speak, with the retail stores, the big or more well-known department stores, and people were just going over to the malls, shopping in those department stores, and all the other smaller stores or restaurants or the food courts and things kind of like piggybacked off of the department stores that were there, the Macy's, the Sears, the J.C. Penney's, and things like that. Okay, but in the present day, you don't necessarily have those type of businesses out there to kind of like accommodate the consumer. So we're going to go into that here a little bit, and I have my guests on here. Let's see if I can add them on here. So checking in is Diamond Dave. What's good, man?
What's going on, Bill? How you feel?
Doing good, man. Doing good, man. Just going through this thing about business and retail and how online shopping has affected the retail industry, particularly now in this current juncture, as the whole thing with COVID-19 has a whole lot of people at home, much more than usual. And while they're still home longer than they used to be, they're still able to get money and spend money. So by doing that, instead of going out because they don't feel safe in going out, they just use the online route more. So like businesses that give them that type of accommodation are able to have a better profit margin, while others that don't make that necessarily adjustment are pretty much suffering as if they weren't already. I mean, because like you see how Amazon is looking right now, they looking real good right now. So businesses like that in comparison to like a J.C. Penney that recently filed for bankruptcy because they don't have something to give their consumers a way to like order online and get their gear in a good time span in order for their business to flounder.
Definitely, you're seeing that didn't take the time, let's say over the past decade, to build out some kind of online presence. We all knew something was going to happen to make it to where they were going to suffer for that. Mm-hmm. And now we're kind of seeing with COVID where something finally happened to where all these businesses that didn't want to spend it, and it don't make sense because they had the money. So it's just a lack of like vision from the executives and from the board of directors to kind of say, you know what, the market is moving in this particular direction. We got to start moving in the direction, because even if we serve an older clientele, eventually those people are going to be gone. And then the younger clientele going to turn older, but they just going to be used to buying stuff online. Like let's say, for example, I mean, you was coming up, you could still go buy physical music. Yeah. But once we realize that, okay, physical music is no longer the thing, right? Even once the people that's used to buying physical music get old and they die off, you now got an older generation who came up not buying physical music. All their music they bought was digital. So now that's your older generation. So you got to start building out infrastructure to handle that particular type of demand and that kind of behavior. And we're seeing the businesses that didn't do that because of what happened with COVID-19. They just got left out in the cold, and now they're trying to play catch-up ball But Amazon is pushing such a hard line on everybody. They're gonna try to make it to where you can never catch back up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good example there with the music industry. Like you can't necessarily have a Sam Goody out there anymore because that really doesn't have much of a point.
Yo, I think your mic cut out. I can't hear you.
No, the thing with Sam Goody, remember that store? Talk about the thing with Sam Goody. Might be something with the connection here real quick. Hold on just a sec. Oh, you still got me? Oh, I'm gonna see if I could send you a message here real quick on it. So are you able to get me on the audio joint?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you. Oh, what's going on?
Okay. I'll see if you can go out and then come back in.
Okay.
See, what Dave was talking about was he was bringing up the point about the music industry. As people around our age, whatever it is, we remember going out to get tapes, full albums, with tapes and everything like that, and see how that basically works. So with the thing with the the tapes, the CDs and everything like that, you had to go from tapes and CDs to digital music. So you'd be able to buy a whole album digitally, either through your computer or on your phone. You can download it on your phone and listen to a whole album on your phone. So here in the retail industry, when it comes to clothing stores, department stores, and things like that, they didn't make that necessary adjustment to kind of cater to that, pretty much that demographic. Like they're used to getting everything, ordering things on their phone, so they could just go boop boop boop, order something, and then that's that. But these established stores like a JCPenney's or a Sears or a Neiman Marcus or a J. Crew or something like that, all of those pretty much have filed bankruptcy or pretty much close to bankruptcy because they didn't make that necessary adjustment. So that's kind of what I was kind of posing out with this particular thing here, and how some of these more well-established businesses didn't make that particular adjustment. And there's probably going to be, more stores down the line that kind of fall in that same category because they don't have a way to distribute their goods and services to the point where it's convenient for the consumer to, get it, whether they're sitting at home or ordering it from anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like you said before, it's something that they didn't transition into. And so as a result, they kind of got stuck out in the cold. And so what we're going to see businesses start doing a lot more of is kind of probably start working on building out that infrastructure. Because if I was a small business owner, I would either try to build it out myself or develop a relationship with a company that facilitates that. So when these type of things happen, I can just through my partnership with them move in that direction. So back in the day, you had companies that created like call services where somebody called, you could get the message from them, things of that nature, but you didn't have to have control over the service. You just had a number that they would give you, and then everything would be done on their database, and then they would just give you access to the database through like a code or some type of account. And that's how you kind of do the sales and stuff. And because companies started to realize that we have to start doing business over the phone as opposed to all our business being walk up.
Yep. And the thing is with that is, once they, kind of made that adjustment as far as the whole thing with customer service, because, you're not going to be able to, handle a whole bunch of people coming up to your store, with customer service. You can't necessarily do that all at one time when you still have to deal with sales. You still have to deal with, promotion, advertising, and all of that. So you had to be able to compartmentalize, everything so that everything could be handled in a certain way that you could be more streamlined and you could operate your business in a smooth manner. But in this particular case, it's more of these well-established or, well-known businesses didn't make that particular adjustment because, seeing the amount of, stores that we kind of like know or are familiar with that are pretty much filing for bankruptcy or kind of like on the verge of going under. It's going to be a pretty interesting thing how this is going to pretty much materialize over the next pretty much like I would say 2 to 3 years, not even 5, but like 2 to 3, given this whole thing with COVID-19 and the thing with stimulus and all of that. Is that some of these companies are able to get money, some of the companies are getting bailed out, others are not. And like I said, as far as like distribution, if they don't create partnerships with a company that handles distribution very well, then they're not going to be able to handle this next thing as far as like once more business or the economy picks back up. They're going to be, left in the cold in that instance. Because like, we were saying at the beginning, Amazon is able to take advantage because everybody's at home. So as long as they have the goods and the services that they can deliver to these people, then they're going to be, pretty much set. But every other company doesn't have that type of luxury, though. I mean,
yeah, definitely. Like I said, is that we're seeing that this event is going to be the tipping point for like a new era that we're going into. And, they've already had the technology. We understand about technology and things. A lot of times the technology and things of that nature are already available. What they're doing is looking for an implement to kind of force adoption because they understand that the people a lot of times are reluctant to get out of habits. So a lot of people were reluctant to do like online shopping, especially like in the grocery space.
Right.
But now Amazon, because of what they've been able to build out, they can now move. They own Whole Foods. They now can move their consumers and doing online shopping in the grocery space because what? Well, you don't want to go in the store because of COVID. You don't want to have contact with all these people. So we got this solution already set up for you. And then we got everything already built out to handle this. So not the same way they deliver physical goods, shoes and records and stereos and stuff like that. They can deliver groceries using the same process. They already got the deals with the contractors for the trucks. They got everything already set up. So Amazon has been building out the technology to facilitate this change over the past decade. A lot of businesses have just been figuring, hey, well, we make all our money on walk-up traffic, and that's how we've been making our money on walk-up traffic the past 30, 40 years, so we're not going to change nothing. Not knowing that the way technology works is that they build it, it's already available. They're looking for a justification to force. I tell people all the time, 9/11 forced people's behavior. The processes that a lot of times we use now to check in on planes and stuff like that, that existed before 9/11, but they couldn't make you do it. Now, once 9/11 happened, they started saying, okay, this how you have to do it now because of 9/11. Now it's normal. So we got to understand with technology, the technology is always 40, 50 years ahead of what we're doing. They're just waiting for a reason to force us to do it. And they're going to use COVID-19 to force a lot of stuff. You're going to see a lot of changes in this economy that they're going to blame on COVID-19, but it got nothing to do with COVID-19. They just wanted to bring this out anyway. They just need a reason now to say you got to do it.
Yeah, true. Now, the thing about what you're saying about Amazon and how they're able to, use, being able to deliver, goods, whether it's, like a laptop or shoes or, groceries. But the thing with groceries is, now that they were able to provide that service, now all the grocery stores are kind of like falling in line. So you kind of like see, a local grocery store in the area, they're able to have that type of, delivery service, whether it's under their, umbrella or, if it's through somebody else. So, as long as, they're able to get those goods out to the customer, they don't have to worry about, their profit margin that much if they're able to just be able to accommodate those that don't want to go to the store. You know what I mean? But, on the flip side, with that happening, you're having less people go to the stores, then maybe you're going to have more people be familiar with not going to the stores at all. And we see it already with the stores and, with the restaurants when it comes to self-checkout. And when you have self-checkout, you don't really need that many employees to, go ahead and, be checking all the groceries and everything like that, bagging the groceries and everything. Because with self-checkout, you can do it yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like you have, one instance where you have the convenience of, being able to shop online and having the groceries delivered to you. But on the other side, you have like, employees that, end up losing their job because they really don't need that much, that much in their workforce, because not that many people are going into the stores, so they're not going into the stores, and the ones that do go in, they basically go through self-checkout. So you ain't gonna have those 6 or 7 registers out there with, people on them, because they're gonna end up having 2 people, running those registers. So it's kind of like a win-lose situation when it comes to something like this. But like you said, the thing with the COVID-19 is going to be a very huge adjustment for, a good amount of people, because there's going to be some things that are going to be available and other things not. And you're going to have to make your way to adjust, or you're going to be left behind, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for, like, let me give you an example. I think the grocery store of the future is going to be a store with nobody inside of it, where people are going to come in on the back, they're going to deliver the stuff, put it on the shelf. You're going to come in and use some type of RFID technology, and your mobile phone is how you're going to do all your shopping. And they may do it to where, because of, it could be COVID-19, it could be anything, right? Because they can make up whatever they want to make up. Yeah. They can limit how many people come into the store at one time. So they can say, like, hey, you can only have 5 people in the store at one time. It ain't going to be no cashiers in here. It ain't going to be nobody to help you. You just use your mobile to tell you where it's at. It's done on an RFID chip, so we know you in the store, and then we check out using your mobile when you come out the store. And if you don't want to do that, we just deliver it to your house. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that you're going to have those type of stores. I think what you're going to have is, like, based on your neighborhood, especially because you got a lot of these planned communities now, you may have like a small corner market. And that corner market may be someplace where you can buy like your immediate groceries, like, oh man, I need a head of lettuce or something like that, some cheese or something. But your big shopping is either going to be doing through a delivery service, or, like I said, you walking into this particular location and there's nobody in there, and essentially you just do all your own shopping. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think it is, because they see, especially companies like Amazon, they real big on technology. They see a human being as something that's holding them back for when they're trying to go in the future. So they like this COVID situation because it allows them to push their technology out there.
Right.
They're going to use this to push more and more tech out onto the market, because Amazon sees having a person having to do it as being less efficient than having a machine do it. Same thing with drones. I like the Amazon locker. A lot of times when I go to have something delivered or picked up, I choose the locker as opposed to having them come to my house. Why? Because I get to choose when I get it. I ain't got to be waiting at home hoping I catch them. So I now just have to go to the locker. So that's another way in which, if you got a delivery business, but you don't know how to do the locker game like Amazon, you may get pushed out of business because Amazon may push everybody into the locker game. Well, we don't even deal with a person out more. We just go to the locker, we pick it up, we keep going. So we seeing a lot of these changes because of technology, that the companies like Amazon, the companies like Apple that are leading with tech, they're going to make the biggest gains because they behind the scenes been always investing their R&D and trying to make these technological solutions. And now they got a perfect opportunity to roll all this stuff out.
Yeah, like you said, they're thinking ahead of time, like 10, 15 years ahead of time, like saying that, okay, this could really benefit us in the future, because, you're going to have this situation where people, one way or another are not going to be going out to these stores anymore. So we got to find a way to get those goods, out there to them and try to make it the most convenient way possible. So, that's kind of like how they're doing it there. And like you said, there with like shopping, we see it right now, like limit 50 people in the store, limit 25 people in the store right now. You know what I mean? And, when it comes to the thing with like online shopping, like you could have it to the point where it's almost like a warehouse, like say like a Sam's Club or B&J's or, something like that, where people are going to be able to buy stuff in bulk, but buy it online in bulk. And so all you need is have like, like you said, the machines that could just operate the, like the carts or anything like that. They could pick up the stuff and just grab it, put it in the cart, and just have it, checked out and everything like that. Check everything, make sure everything's good, and then just have somebody there that could get that stuff, put it in a car or vehicle, and have it, delivered out to them. You know,
Gotcha.
so yeah, it goes into the whole automation industry right there because it's like they've been trying to do that for years.
Exactly.
And now it's pretty much like that perfect opportunity to take advantage and be like, yo, all right, we got it. This is it right here. So yeah, like you said, the Amazon pretty much has everything, you know, down pat to, you know, like you said, the lockers or everything like that. Cause, you know, you're not gonna have people wanting to have their package left at the door. You know, I mean, either you miss them or it gets left at the door, and who knows what happens when it's left at the door. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the thing that's going on right now is when you have companies like Amazon kind of like leading the way in that type of technology, and then everybody else is kind of like falling in line. Either they fall in line or they're pretty much behind the eight ball, and they'll end up getting left out.
Yeah, definitely. And so that's really what I think we're going to see is that a lot of massive changes, and we're going to, because I think we just saw an article that where Walmart's going to have stores with no cashiers in it all. So we started seeing they brought in self-checkout. They got rid of a lot of cashiers, but some stores had them where they now push into a store with no cashiers. So cashiers for a lot of Walmarts was the majority of people inside the store. So we know now if they get rid of cashiers, there's a certain amount of staff. That whole front end is going to be gone as far as personnel.
Yeah.
So we seeing this change where, like I said, you're going to probably go into a store. It could be a big warehouse, and it might be 3 people working in the whole warehouse. Everything else is being run by machines and robots. And that's just what's going to happen, to where they're using technology and automation and robotics to get rid of these people. Because what do we know? If you got a lot of people, you got an HR now issue because you got to manage all these people. If we got a bunch of robots and machines, we don't have to manage robots and machines. They always show up on time. They don't never call out. So it over even though they might have to put more money into the forefront, over time they make more money. And that's what Amazon is willing to understand, that they talking about doing deliveries with drones. You know, they trying to figure out how to get the human out of the equation. Exactly. So they're gonna use this situation with COVID to push that, because their attitude is, well, people want contactless. They don't want to deal with another person right now. So we got solutions for that. And once they roll the solution out, they're not going to roll it back. That's what people don't understand about technology. Once they roll technology out, they never go backwards. They just always keep going forward. And so people thinking that where things are going to go back the way it was before all this happened, I don't think they understand. Like I said before, when 9/11 happened, before 9/11, airlines and flights worked a certain way. After 9/11, when they implemented all them changes, we never went back to what it was before. It just kept going forward because of technology.
Yep, exactly. And, like you said, the thing there with, Walmart, where they're going to pretty much eliminate the cashier completely. So it's like you're going to have the whole thing with self-checkout. You might have about 2 or 3 people that could do customer service, and that's pretty much it. Yep. Security is a maybe. They might have 2 or 3 people in security, but if you have the technology, you have the cameras and everything that, sees every little, nook and cranny that's in the store, there might not be a reason to have, a security person right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So having that whole thing with robotics is kind of like advantageous for, the business person, because like I said, they don't have to worry about, a person to kind of like continuously pay, continuously, do the thing for insurance and other costs that are needed for, having a workforce. So once you eliminate that whole workforce, you take away the expenses that you had to deal with. You still might have to, pay a little bit for maintenance of the machines and everything like that, but your overall operating costs go down significantly if you're able to, eliminate a workforce that way. So automation is, well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the future. It's pretty much now. And so, the whole thing with this COVID-19 thing kind of like gives them, most of them, a perfect opportunity to just say, hey, we're going to go forward with this. And once it's out there, like you said, they can't roll it back. So full speed ahead with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so I'm going to say this and I close, is that a lot of the retail businesses we talked about earlier, that weren't really up to speed on technology, and I can think they kind of took their eye off where the change was coming, and I would blame their management and their leadership for that. It's going to be one of the reasons why they're going to get forced out. And so if I'm looking at starting a business now, especially I'm looking to serve people, I'm dealing with a lot of human beings potentially person to person. I'm trying to figure out what kind of partnerships can I create. We talked about the grocery store. If you are not like Amazon, where you already got your own setup through delivery and distribution, you got to create a partnership with a company like a DoorDash or Instacart to where now they can handle that in for you. So you see that with Publix. They've created those partnerships that handle that, so they don't have to build that out on their own, because they understand that that's what people want. Because if you go to certain markets, like if you go to the Metro Atlanta market, there's a whole side of the city, that east side of Atlanta, of the Metro. Those people, when they get home from work, they're not trying to leave their house again. So they utilizing DoorDash, they're utilizing Uber Eats, they're utilizing Instacart to bring groceries and bring food to them, because they're living a lifestyle to where traffic is already so bad. Once I get home, I don't want to go back out. And then once that becomes their behavior, you ain't gonna start making them want to leave the house now. They want to just sit in the crib and have somebody bring it to them. So you got a whole side of the city where that's their behavior. And that's only gonna spread. It's gonna start in the metro areas, and it's gonna start spreading to all the other outlying areas. So you're gonna see it in DC, go see it in New York, Philly. And then once that becomes the norm and they get tested and get really efficient at it, then you're gonna start seeing it spread all over the country.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, with these companies, they have to, kind of like think in intervals. I would say, either from 10 years to 20-year intervals, because sometimes, you see like the biggest changes over the course of 10 to 20 years, like from, the 80s to the 90s, the 2000s. We talk about the whole thing with music industry, how the music industry changed as far as like going from, tapes, cassettes, CDs, records to pretty much all digital. And now, what you have now is the whole thing with the retail industry, where you have the shopping mall. The era of the shopping mall is pretty much done. We kind of like seeing those shopping malls that, were, in the area, whether it's Orlando, whether it's, Tampa, DC area, or anything like that. They're pretty much, closed down now, because there's no real reason for people to go out to go shop in these stores when they can do everything at home. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, if you are a business and you have something that you want to push to, a group of consumers, you got to be able to think, okay, how can I do something that could benefit me and also benefit them 10 or 15 or 20 years from now, where I don't have to necessarily work as hard in order to get the goods out to them, So that's kind of like, what I say in reference to that. But, right now, the whole thing with online shopping being a, huge, huge increase, it kind of like shows like how these retail industry companies have pretty much been behind the 8 ball, and now they're going to be slowly phased out right there. So, that's all I got in this particular topic, man. Thanks to Diamond Dave for joining in for this one, and I'll have more conversations like this in the future. But until then, I'll catch y'all later.
All right, man. Y'all be easy. Peace out.